In the United Kingdom, elections are underway and polls opened at 7, we're told. Well, that's British time, because that would have been 6 our time, at more than 40,000 polling stations across the country. And once voting ends at, that's
22 hours.
that'll be 10 p.m. their time. Counting will start. A total of 650 Westminster MPs, that's current MPs, will be elected, with about 46.9 million people registered to vote. That is up from the last general election in 2015, when there were 46.4 million registered voters. Not all of them do vote, though, we should say. And Mimi Cranting is a Ghanaian resident in Reading in the UK. She's been speaking to electorates there about their expectations of the outcome of the elections.
Okay.
Well, good morning to you, Mimi.
Hi, how are you?
How's the atmosphere like in the UK, especially when we know that it's just the early part of the day and the enthusiasm should be up? What would you say that is like for the elections in the UK?
There's quite a lot of excitement, especially among the young people, because I think a lot of them are unhappy with Theresa May, so a lot of them are registering to vote, especially in favor of Jeremy Corbyn. So I think there's just like 1 hour left to vote, and from what I see, the turnout is quite high.
At the end of the day, we know following the votes in the Brexit, there seemed to have been a dip in the enthusiasm among young people to be casting ballots, to be electing or making decisions through the normal universal adult suffrage. Would you say that the polls are indicating that young people will be voting enthusiastically?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually on the contrary to what you just said, because in the week following up to the elections, a record number of young people did register to vote. And, I mean, of course, in university here, I've spoken to quite a number of people about who they plan to vote for, and like literally just one person is in support of Theresa May. Everyone else is in support of Jeremy Corbyn, because they don't like the way Theresa May has handled herself. And even in the from the start of the campaign, it looked like it was a clear victory for Theresa May, but she's just like moved so many times since media etc. And Jeremy Corbyn has totally stepped up his game. So especially among the youth. So I think that definitely the youth may be a major deciding factor, because they're quite in support of Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned the Prime Minister, but at the end of the day, we know that if you look at the commentary and public opinion and the narrative, the tragic events we've seen with the bombings recently seem to have perhaps put some slights on Theresa May's government to be able to provide adequate security. Is that the case?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, I remember a few days ago, someone pointed out a news item to me that there were actually calls for Theresa May to step down, because during her time as the Home Secretary, she cut down the number of police officers. And so they were, should I say, understaffed, and therefore not in such a good position to fight the terrorism. And especially, unfortunately for her, in so close to the elections, there's been about 3 terror attacks. So that really makes her look really, really bad.
That won't affect her political fortunes, would it?
I think it is, actually, because right now people are questioning her ability to lead. People are really questioning her ability to lead right now. And it's like, some are not fans of Jeremy Corbyn because they feel that he might not be competent. But it's like a situation of the better of two evils. So initially, Theresa May seemed like the clear winner. But in the recent events, it's a bit difficult to tell, though the current polls are indicating that Theresa May would win.
Well, almost like voters finding themselves between a rock and a hard place. I do understand.
Well, for the youth, I think it's a clear decision for them. They want Jeremy Corbyn because he seems more in touch with their needs, and also the issue of student debt. That's one of his campaign promises, and he has promised to scrap tuition fees for universities, and that's something that a lot of people are happy about. You know, that, of course, increases his popularity among the young people, because who wants to graduate from university with like 30,000, 40,000 pounds worth of debt? No one wants that.
Yeah. We talk about free things. In Ghana, we like a lot of free things too. So. But at the end of the day, we also know that this also is following the Brexit, and immigration issues seem to be at the fore, and the relationship of the UK with the rest of Europe with the exit seem also to be at the fore. How is that impacting on people's decisions they have to make as to who leads them in their various boroughs and etc.?
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand your question properly. So basically, you want to know how the impact of the elections will affect Brexit?
No. How just recently, having taken a decision to exit Europe,
yes.
And then the main narrative being, after that exit, what will be the relationship between the UK and the rest of Europe? How is that influencing the decision of the ordinary voter to ask to elect who or not elect who?
Yeah, you know, I think there's a bit of resentment towards the Conservatives, especially amongst those who are not in favor of Brexit, because it was like, first of all, was the Brexit vote even necessary, that kind of thing. So they feel that there might be some sentiment towards, like, okay, the Conservatives, they are anti-immigration, and, you know, Theresa May is saying no deal. We'd rather have no deal than have a bad deal, you know, and so they feel that it's something that they are concerned about. But Labour seems to have sort of a softer stance. So I think it also depends on, like, the views on immigration as well, because I think those who have a stronger stance on immigration might support the Tories, but those who are more supportive of immigration might go towards the Labour.
Are you a voter yourself?
No, I am not.
Okay. All right. You know anybody around you who is voting? Who will be voting?
Yes, I do. I spoke to a number of Ghanaians on campus and around campus yesterday.
What's their decision? Who do they intend voting for? I know you guys out there, you don't mind just letting your heart out. We are always secretive. Sub-Saharan Africa. So you tell us, what have they been saying?
Well, like I said, I mean, you know, a number of Ghanaians, concerned parents, they are quite excited about the scrapping of their tuition fees. So, I mean, that's one thing that makes them want to vote for Labour. But for those who are not able to vote, there's a little bit of apathy. But they also predict that the Conservatives will win.
All right. But at the end of the day, what's your own judgment? You think that it's still going to go the Conservatives' way, right?
Well, it's quite difficult to call, honestly, because, like I said at the beginning, I mean, I'm sure Theresa May called the election because she was so sure that she was going to win Jeremy Corbyn. She was going to win over Jeremy Corbyn. But, of course, I'm sure she didn't predict that she was going to do so miserably at the media interviews, the televised debates, etc., and also these terrorist attacks, these recent terrorist attacks, which some have blamed on her, some actions that she took while she was the Home Secretary. So her competence is being questioned right now. And prior to the elections, there was Jeremy Corbyn, who was just like, some might describe him as like a hot mess, you know, constantly being bashed by Theresa May at Prime Minister's questions, that kind of thing. And it's like people also resigning. So it looked like the Labour Party was just in disarray. But in the weeks leading up to the elections, he's like stepped up his game completely. And the gap has widened quite significantly, and it seems to be closing up, and the Labour might have a good chance at winning, but it's quite difficult to call. But I definitely don't think the winner will be as clear as it was prior to the elections, when it seemed like everything was in favour of Theresa May.
Right. Thank you very much. And Mimi Kranting is in the UK city of Reading. I know many of us have difficulty pronouncing. The first time we see it, we say Reading, but don't worry, it's Reading. So we're okay with that. Thank you, Ms. Kranting. And she is collating a lot more views on how people will vote, etc.